Hello friends, welcome. Friend, this is going to be a very short video. I just wanted to do an update on the CPI inflation data which just came out, right? If you go to the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation website, you will see that this data was just updated and I updated my chart in my website. So I thought of showing you what the numbers look like. So if you look at this chart, this dashboard captures all the items. So let me zoom out a bit and I'll show you that this is the complete dashboard. Here are the weights and here is the complete data and these are all the items. So the way I have configured this dashboard is that you will get the individual numbers in the heat map, and whatever you choose, you can choose combined weighted average inflation, combined rural weighted average inflation, or you can basically choose index. So basically what I have done is I have these are the elements, these are the dimensions that you can actually choose: index, inflation, weighted average. Now index, it's a simple number. It kind of starts with 100 and then it keeps on escalating. Then you can choose inflation. Inflation, if you choose inflation, then these numbers that are going to get displayed in the dashboard against each and every weight and each and every item is going to be the inflation number in percentage. And then we have the weighted average. Now weighted average basically means that each and every item, right, which basically contributes to the overall general index, which you see here, is represented as a percentage basis point of the, depending upon the weight, which it contributes to the overall general index. So if you add each and every item here in this column, this will add up to the number that you see here. Now this is the January number and it clearly shows that the inflation number has dropped down from the earlier number of 5.22% to 4.31%. So you see it 431 because of the reason that all these weights are added and combined here. So that's why this number is showing as 431. So if I choose instead I choose inflation, then you will see that this number accordingly will change. It will become 4.31, right? Can you see that? Let me just see my pen. Again, it's gone. Show screen was, yeah. So here is my pen again. So this number, if you see, 4.31%. So what you are seeing now is that the inflation actually was pretty high and then it kind of came to 4.85, 4.83 and then 4.8, 5.08, 3.60, 3.65 and then it kind of went up, and now in month of January, the combined inflation has gone down to a level which is very, very low, which is not very, very low, but it is just above the RBI's upper threshold, which is 4%. So it is 4.31%. Now, what is the reason for this number going down? Now, individual inflation number does not tell the story, and that is why I have incorporated this number of weighted average here. So if I do weighted average and then you see the individual items, you will notice that the items like clothing, etc., footwear and cereal products are all kind of remain same. Even oil and fat are slightly increased. But the biggest advantage that you have seen is coming from vegetables, right? So if you see, vegetable was consistently basically contributing to a very large number, except for these two months, which is June and July, where the number was low, and that's why the inflation was also low, 3.6% and 3.65%. So because the vegetable numbers are low in this month of January, it is 4.31%. So our inflation has become the inflation of vegetable. So it's clearly visible from this fact that rest of the numbers have not moved much. You see, fuel and light not moved much. Pan and tobacco, it remains the same. Housing, it remains the same. And education, it has almost remained static. Health, you can see that the contribution to the basket is remained the same. Household service and goods, the same. Personal care and effect, almost same. Transport and communication is slightly increased, but kind of not very difficult. The other product which actually adds a large proportion to the basket is cereal and products, right? If you see here, it is almost equal. This month it's almost equal, 60 and here also 69. But in the earlier months, the numbers have remained stable and vegetable inflation has contributed to the overall inflation, right? So Just to see what the variations are, you click on a chart, these numbers are going to get displayed here. So the bar chart is nothing but when you click here, you will be able to see the bar chart, because it is much easy to see the bar and make any sense out of it by looking at the bar chart, because then you can very clearly see how the numbers are changing over a period of time, right? By looking at the heat map, that your sense does not, you don't get the sense, and that's why I converted this. I have designed this dashboard in this manner that when you click on a particular line item, the bar chart gets distributed. So individually you can investigate. So that is the combined inflation. Now let's look at the urban inflation. So if you look at urban inflation weighted average, you'll see that the numbers have further decreased, right? You see this numbers have further decreased here. This is the number 3.87%. And here also the story is very, very simple. And interestingly, the vegetable prices as far as urban is concerned is significantly dropped. And it is contributing to the overall basket to only 38 basis points. And if I take to rural, and let's see what we see in rural. In rural, you see that the rural vegetable prices are higher. Very, very strange. Can you see this? This is probably one of the strangest thing actually I have seen in my life, that where the vegetables are getting produced, where the inflation contribution to the overall inflation is higher, and where we are consuming vegetable by bringing it from rural area, the prices have dropped, and that's why our inflation has also dropped. I have never seen this kind of dichotomy or kind of paradox in our society, which is is very, very surprising. It's very surprising, and that's why, because of this vegetable thing, 98 to the overall basket. That's why the rural inflation has been driven higher. Now, friends, I can basically do some change of time scale. So if I choose a quarter, and it is basically the inflation is in the end of the quarter, then you will see that's why this number is showing up as 4.65. So you will find that the numbers were pretty high, and why I am doing quarter is basically to see that how the vegetable contribution has been over a period of time. It is from FY 23 Q1, the numbers were very high, and then suddenly the numbers became negative, and then suddenly it has gone very high, and now it has dropped. Now whether it is going to sustain or not, we have to see, right? And if I take combined inflation, I think the story is similar in nature. Nothing changed. Nothing we can see different. So there is nothing much to talk about here. The cereal inflation has kind of come. We have able to contain it because it went pretty high. And then there is one more interesting part that we see. When the cereal inflation was very high, if you see here, the numbers were pretty high here. At that time, the vegetable inflation was, going in a different direction from a correlation point of view. And then the cereal inflation has come down, the vegetable inflation has shot up, right? So one more thing that you can do here in this chart is a click on this, and you will get the simulation part. So what is simulation? Simulation is that if you want, you can run this by clicking on this particular bar. Then what will happen is that you will be able to see that how these numbers have moved over a period of time. Let me just show you. Let me show you how. Let's go to the last. Yeah. So this is the month of January 2025. Now, if I start clicking the arrow, right? This is combined inflation weighted average. So if I start clicking the arrow, you can see that the numbers are moving, right? All these things are going to move with respect to each other. These are all percentage basis point, which adds up to this number, right? So you will be able to find out which item is contributing to the overall inflation by dragging this, backwards, which gives you a very good flavor as to, because these weights do not mean anything unless and until corresponding indexes are combined and we do a weighted average, and then only you are able to understand how much is the overall contribution of these items to the general index, right? Well, how much is the aggregation contribution of these items to the general index? Because if the weights are very low and if the inflation is pretty high, still the absolute contribution will be low, meaning on a percentage basis point. So this is one chart which you can play with, which will give you a very good understanding as to what is going on. Now you see how vegetable has been moving and the inflation is going up and down depending upon vegetable. And you can see oil and fat is contributing to negative inflation, right? And then, you can keep going back and forth, and then you will be able to understand, how this overall inflation has is getting impacted because of this. Anyway, friends, there is nothing much to talk about. I just wanted to do a very short video to give you a brief overview as to what is going on. That's all I wanted to do. I think you will be able to get the access to this chart. You go to my website, you can get this chart. You can click here again, go back to heat map, and you will be able to see everything right in front of your face, right in front of you. Thank you for your time, and I'll come back with a new video next time. Thank you very much.